lounging, son.
Welcome back to the Comic Lounge. My name's Ryan, and I'm going to be talking about Killadelphia Book 1. This is going to be a quick little review. Just want to go over basically what this title's about. I love, first of all, Rodney Barnes, Jason, Shawn Alexander. Phenomenal creative team. They've been working on this series for a few years now. I think it's at issue 29 or 30 is about to come out. I can't remember exactly. I know it's about to have a cool crossover. Spawn's going to be in it. Savage Dragon's going to be in it. So really dope. This, I picked up the first, I think, run of it in single issues, but I love me some hardcovers. So I've now switched to this format. This is the format I love reading in the most. A little bit oversized. Looks great on the shelf. So first of all, the name Killadelphia to me was such a great title. Obviously, you can see the cover. There's vampires set in Philadelphia. The title alone grabbed me from the very beginning. It's just such a great read. Jason Shawn Alexander, I doubt that there's very many people out there that are not aware of his work. He did some great stuff on Spawn with Todd McFarlane. This is just him, to me, like, this is the peak. Like, he is killing it with every single issue. There's also a backup story, Elijah Gardens, which is, same creative team, but we have inks by Bill Sienkiewicz on a few pages as well. Yeah, Luis NCT. I don't know how you pronounce that. I was on color for the book. Set in Philadelphia. I love these little quotes that, tie into each issue. The key to solving this nightmare is in there, so it follows basically this cop, right? And talking, it's really, to me, at the heart of this book is a father-son relationship. And we're seeing, like, it was definitely strained, even in Death He Haunts Me. When you're a kid and your parents say things to you that only they understand, I get it, Dad. So, like, now we're going back and we see, like, there's this missing kid who will play a factor in this. Just, I love the dialogue, too. Thought I'd seen every type of death imaginable until now. Well played, motherfucker. Trust and believe I'm going to find you, and somehow, some way, I'm going to kill you. And so we're in the past. We're with James Sangster Sr., and he's following some leads. Like, there's a crime, and where does he end up? He's looking for Tevin Tompkins, is the kid he's looking for that's missing. He gets into this room, and you just see him say, fuck, setup, boom, all these people on him, and then he's dead. After years of one-upping the bad guy, guess I was due. I pray the Lord grades on a sliding scale. Oh, Jose, which is his partner. How many times have you and me looked down at some unlucky fuck who knew I'd be joining the club? World slipping away. I'm sorry. And now, his dad's buried. He's going back to Baltimore where he lives. And, he doesn't want to be in Philly. He hates his father. Very strained relationship. But as he starts reading this journal, he finds out what his dad was kind of looking into. Eventually, you're going to discover that there's vampires. Who is at the head of all these vampires? None other than John Adams, the second president of the United States. The former president of the United States is responsible. And, he's thinking his dad is losing it. Like, there's no way. What happened to America? We the people, fuck the people. And so he's investigating now, like, he's trying to follow leads and see what happened with his dad. I love this too. He doesn't see it at first, like, they're vampires, they're up above. He's like, oh, fuck me. Bet somewhere Pops is laughing his ass off because he knows what's coming. So what does he do? This is where it gets, like, fucking really crazy, is he digs up his dad. And then you just get this. What took you so long, boy? And one thing you'll notice about his dad is he kind of looks like somebody. And it's Phil Morris, actor Phil Morris. So I think that's kind of cool, like, that he put him in the book. Again, these covers that JSA designed, dude, like, phenomenal. Now we're visiting this, like, elderly woman. She's in the hospital. And now we see, like, she calls out Tevin. Tevin was the kid that James Jr.'s father was looking for. He goes by Jimmy. So Jimmy's dad was looking for, and now he's visiting his grandma. And you can see he's floating in. So obviously he's a vampire, and you kind of get the inkling that, like, this kid is not what he seems to be. Maybe he's not really a part of what's going on with all these vampires. And Jimmy comes back to Jose. He's like, asking, what do you do with the blood? Because his dad is, he's fiending for the blood. And now we're going to get this team up, and they're going to try to figure out a way to take the president down. We get this creepy cop picking up this girl, trying to completely creep on her. Little does he know, she's a fucking vampire. And I love this, because then she just calls it out. Oh, you look more like a Norman Becker, 54, 3 kids, C student at Syracuse, wife Margaret, who you're not really attracted to anymore. And the look on his face, like, how could she know it? He gets taken by the vampires, and then we come up on here where the mayor is now, like, he's obviously in cahoots with the vampires, and you'll see that as we get forward. Like, talking about how Adams wants to make the America, idealized land of the free. Like, so he has, like, some sick ideas of what he thinks America should be and what he wants to do to it. Here's that cop all strung up, all the vampires just around. And then you get John Adams. You look at anybody from, like, when he was alive and, with those white wigs and all that stuff, and he looks completely badass here, like, definitely, I mean, he's been alive for centuries, right? He's an immortal at this point. I love just the layout here to creepy ass vampires. And then you get Tevin, who lets them loose, and you can see that he's very hesitant. And you can see it here, like, oh, are you all right? He's done my part. You all have your show. Adam's like, you don't approve? Food or death? That shit ain't very presidential, Adam. So he's already questioning him, right? And he takes off. And eventually, he's going to team up with them, with Jimmy and his dad, and help take down Adams. I love this too, him standing in front of the Liberty Bell. And throughout, you'll get more of the backstory on how Adams got to this point. I wouldn't say this is gory, but there's a lot of blood splattering going on all over the place. I love the coloring of this book. Again, I think this is some of Jason Alexander's best work, dude. And then, we're getting I won't get too into the details. I'll let you guys read it for yourselves because I don't want to spoil too much. But you get the backstory of how he became what he is and how he was able to propel himself through the future and without kind of being discovered, showing the way that he was able to, like, quote unquote kill or die so that he could be put to rest and then come back at a later time. And you're also going to see his wife is part of it too. I love this too, as him and Abigail, his wife, and like how they return to America, and you just see, like, as he's going through the different centuries, it's, and you get the little watch at the bottom, seeing the different stuff happening, all the technological advances. You get Jimi Hendrix there, Malcolm X is there, Barack Obama, Twin Towers, fucking Trump. And I love this too, like, we developed ways to kill in other nations without leaving our soil. Technology fueled capitalism. The boundary between the capitalists and the proletariat grew. The elite developed methods of manipulating the system in order to maintain power and control. Masterfully, they perfected the tool that fortified their reign: fear. And there's just so much underlying stuff about, like, the way the country is, race, government, and just, like, overall, like, a view of America, but told through the context of, like, this old president and his ideals and wanting to enforce them on present day and manipulating stuff throughout time. Pretended that they had yellow fever. They learned to move about surreptitiously, isolated by day, venturing out at night. Just very interesting, talking about his son, how they thought of maybe turning his son too, but they figured, no, let him die. We finally meet Abigail in the present, and she's got a different way of moving about. We decided on our new society would be a balance of the underprivileged and the elite. The underprivileged were easy to turn. Most submitted willingly, anything to escape the lives they led. The elite required coaxing. This was Abigail's idea. Sex and death, she pondered, were fitting inducements. I just love finding these, like, hives of, like, vampires. And my wife is dead and my only son hates me. I no longer serve a purpose. So he just wants to rest. He just wants to be over and to move on to the next, plane of existence. Get some great fucking action here with the vampires. But, through the course of this, father and son kind of mend their relationship during this, like, battle between a former president vampire and his wanting to kind of like take over, and now the vampires are like out in the open. They're not even trying to hide, and it's not creating a bloodbath. Jimmy Jr. like now developing like some sort of a relationship with his dad's former partner. And again, the mayor is in bed with them, right? And something else happens to him, in this volume where, maybe he shouldn't be trusting who he trusts. The city's aflame. And this is, Tevin's trying to help James Sr. because he's like, look, don't go slow, drain it too fast, and I'll have to catch another. So, like, he knows how to, like, he doesn't want to feed on human beings either. So he's, like, helping him to not have to do that. And why he was susceptible to going with President Adams and allowing himself to be turned. I love this. Grandma used to say, can't make chicken salad out of chicken shit. He's like, you got a better idea? Freedom. Everybody does them. You want to fuck with somebody, you do. You don't, you don't. Remind me not to invite you to my 4th of July barbecue. And then look at this. Philadelphia, first city to fall. There are so many others. One by one, hearts will stop and restart. They will know that John Adams is mankind's savior. The one they once mocked will be the one that set them free. And you can see, like, as the sun's coming up and the way they look, the way they make his face look like it's burning. Now we see that little girl from earlier who's a vampire. This woman's putting up missing signs, crying. You find out that, like, that's really her sister, but she turned back to a human being. She didn't want to be a vampire anymore. She didn't want to be immortal. She wanted to eventually die. She goes all the way back to the times of slavery. That's when they were turned to signify, like, heaven and hell and the battle. Angels above and the demons below are manifestations of the guilt, shame, and regrets I defined myself by. They are now my albatross, my burden. The body has become a prison, and my soul its only inmate. The hell I always feared exists within me. Maybe it always did. Again, this writing is just... This is my favorite stuff from Rodney Barnes, hands down. I think that him and Jason Shawn Alexander, to me, are such a great creative team that I'll follow them to whatever project they do. I know they've been working on this. I know they did the Nita Haas book as well. And then we get some, like, mysticism where, like, there's this book that John Adams gave to him to keep from Abigail, like, spells and stuff. And now he's figured out how to decipher it, and he has magic. Like, totally crazy, dude. And he, for 10 years he studied the pages. He stopped trying to figure them out, and they figured me out and served up their secrets. So, again, like, adding another layer to this where it's not just like vampires, we're dealing with mysticism as well. Again, like I said, the sisters coming there together, talking about their past, bringing in the cops. He can't believe what's happening, but he's like, well, no, he is alive. And it's like trying to convince him of the vampires and how, they're going to have to take them out. Look at this. This freaking head just ripped off. Such a great story. I can't recommend it enough. Definitely, like, I wouldn't say horror is, like, one of my favorite genres to read in comic books, but when it's done well and you got good writing, you got fantastic art, like, that's what will pull me in. And this is definitely that case. But again, it's also more than that. It is the father-son relationship that, to me, is kind of at the heart of it. And it's the great characterization of all the people that you kind of, like, you become super invested in all of them. And even the people you can't stand, like Abigail, she turns on the mayor. And John Adams is about to get turned on too. Fucking blasted by, these powers. He's also got some powers as well because he was studying it. And then what happens? Boom, stake straight through the heart. And he's watching it as all his plans are coming into action, but he's not going to be around to see it. Love that. You have the right to remain silent. Everything's just, like, burning in the city. And eventually he asks, he's going to get laid to rest. I love this. Like, you okay, Pop? I got my man. Only one thing left to do. Such a great image, I love you, Jimmy, and I'm sorry. Great end to this first arc. And then, you got the second arc, and shit's still going down, and they're starting to become brazen again, these vampires. And we're going to learn a little bit of backstory on some of the other, some of the different members of, like, Abigail's, like, crew, some of the going all the way back again to the time of slavery, even talking about another president. Like, it's definitely probably my favorite vampire comic, hands down. I can't think of another one I liked as much as this. And so, Jimmy and Jose have started their relationship. They don't know, did we just kind of do this because of like this crazy shit we went through? Is this real? They don't know, but they definitely, like, their relationship does continue throughout. This fucking leg being ripped off. And so then now we're in hell. We see James' dad, or he's now gone into the afterlife. What came next was darkness. The hardest part is letting go. And we're going to see him as he's floating on the river of death. He comes across this white light, and we end up seeing him connect with somebody. And we'll see that in a little bit. But I just love Abigail Adams, dude. I mean, like, you wouldn't think she'd be this complete badass, but she is, orchestrating all this stuff, and all this shit is still going on. They fucking attack this rapper right on stage in front of thousands of people, just completely out in the open. But this is such a great moment, as he sees this bright light, and eventually he's reunited with his wife. Another great full page. And they're talking about their son. How is Jimmy? After you left, he hurt. We both did, but it got better. We made peace. He's a detective now. I'm proud of him. And she's like, you hurt me, but I knew your heart. James Sangster's a good man. He has a good soul. One worthy of spending eternity with. I love you. He says, I love, right? He says, I love it. Like, what's happening? No, he gets pulled out. His son dug him up again. And I love, this better be really fucking important. He's about to get what he wants. He's about to get his peace. He's about to get reunited with his wife, but his son needs help. Who's he going to go to but his undead dad, right? So, begrudgingly, like, they're partnered up again, and throughout this second arc, I won't get too much into the second arc, but some really great stuff. A lot of backstory here, a lot of learning about some of the side characters in here. Phenomenal stuff. I can't wait for the second hardcover to come. Look at that fucking vampire with the little girl in her mouth. My God. Great reunion with Tevin. He's communicating with his grandma on the other side because she's passed. I love that. Again, there's so much heart in this book, even though this is a book steeped in horror and vampires. Like, a lot of heart in here. I won't spoil the end. That he has to bring John on his back to take care of Abigail. So that definitely leaves on an interesting note. I can't wait to see what's going to happen in the future. Get an afterword by Rodney Barnes. We get some cover galleries, a bunch of dope variant covers, all the A covers, really good stuff. Jim Mafu did a cover, Matteo Scalera did a cover, Eric Canetti, Neil Adams, rest in peace, Jay Lee, Scotty Young, Bill Sienkiewicz, Francesco Mattina, J. Scott Campbell, Duncan Fegretto, Todd McFarlane, Bill Sienkiewicz again. And then you got this Elijah Gardens story in the back, all in black and white, which is really dope. But yeah, this is some process pages too, like the models that he uses for reference. Some really awesome stuff. This is definitely like, get the single issues, but this is definitely the way that I love to read it. I love seeing this art just a little bit larger than, the regular comic book page. So if you can get yourself a copy of this, definitely pick it up. If your store doesn't have it, get the trade. This is a story that I highly recommend. Perfect for the month of October, which is when I'm recording this and when I'm posting this. But also great year-round. One of my favorite series to come out from Image in the last 5 years. One of the best produced. I'm so happy that it's still going. They're about to hit, issue 30, and there's no signs of slowing down. So get out there, pick it up. Make sure you like, follow, subscribe, hit the bell icon so you're notified every time a new vid drops. And on that note, I'm out.